Sometimes when I want to be refreshed, I head on over to the Korean Central News Agency of North Korea to get my daily dose of news from that lovable and hateable country. One thing that we can all agree on is when you go through these articles, you see that it's complete propaganda. And we all know this. Everybody knows it's propaganda. And that's what's so refreshing. There are still some people in the world that are going to believe the next article that I'm going to show you. And it was by Reuters, and it came out yesterday. And it's titled, Obama Sheds Cool Style for Fearless Final Lap in Office. Isn't that beautiful? It's just... oh, man. And then you see him there. He's throwing up his 666 sign. In the article, and as we read, by Roberta Rampton, Richard Cowan, and Steve Holland. Remember these names. These are the people that try and sell bullshit to the public. These are the guys that write the words on the teleprompter. Sure, at the careful hand of their training, I'm sure. Anyways, in Washington, Barack Obama has reached the stage of his presidency where he wants to break out in song publicly. If he does, as he did with Amazing Grace in a eulogy on Friday, well, then he's going to do it. Well, isn't he just the hero? With a year and a half left in office, Obama is shedding some of his trademark no-drama style for a looser approach, admitting that he feels more fearless and liberated. It may also be in recognition that he has few big-ticket policy achievements left to enjoy in polarized Washington as the end of the two-term presidency approaches. In a remarkable week for the president, a victory on Pacific Rim trade was snatched from the jaws of defeat on Capitol Hill on Wednesday. And if you don't know what that is the TPA that got passed, as they're trying to dress up to you but won't tell you the name. It's the Trade Pact Authority that disallows amendments for any Trade Pact bills that will be pushed through to Congress and the Senate. What that means is that once these bills go through, you can only vote up or vote down. So you have two parties, both of them controlled. What do you think's going to happen? No amendments whatsoever. One thing I want to point out before I move on to the next big ticket item that he pushed this week, as we were all as a country and as a continent focused on Charleston, was that Alex Jones posted that the TPP was passed, not the TPA. And he said TPP passes, at which his video is still up. And he says Obama is now a dictator. And it was a very popular video, and many people certainly took his lead. One being, and sure, I will call him one out, Freedom Fighter 2127, who still hasn't taken his video down, pretty much copied and pasted the headline. How many views do these guys have now, but they haven't taken down their video? Just saying. Next one over. The Supreme Court on Thursday validated his signature health care law, guaranteeing he would accomplish a central second-term goal to protect the 2010 Affordable Care Act from being dismantled by Republicans. Look how they pose their words. Look how they select them as they try to sell you their bullshit. Validated his signature health care law, the one that forces millions of Americans that never wanted their health to have anything to do with the aims of the government are now forced to pay. Just like up in Canada, I haven't seen a doctor in 4 years, and yet I pay 1 out of 6 of my dollars spent on health care. Sink that in. One of my health... Yeah. Every $1 in $6 that I make. Think about that. That's what's going to happen to you. But they're going to make this about the Republicans, and they're not going to mention the name of the trade agreement or the Trade Pact Authority bill that got passed. They're not going to mention the name of that. You're going to have to be well on the inside of information to understand. The icing on the cake came on Friday. With the High Court's decision to legalize same-sex marriage, a move Obama said was a big step towards equality for Americans. I think it's a great timing. You have Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. And then he sings Amazing Grace as well. Listen, I'm Christian, and I'm going to say that I think anybody telling me that I should not allow the same privilege, not right, but a privilege, to a civil privilege, to a same-sex marriage as a two-sex marriage, whatever you want to call it, I think that you're a bullshit Christian to be telling me that. And I'm sick of you calling me a bullshit Christian for not believing that they should have the same equal privileges allotted by the government. My root issue that I have with this is not with same-sex marriage having the same privilege, not a right, but a privilege, as two-sex marriages, is that why are we looking for the government to validate our lives as people? That's my biggest problem that I have when I look at this. Everybody's having a big fight over it. And I understand that, yes, there are legal issues with this, which I think could be done in a contract without having the government needing to validate it in the state at which they do now. If you want to have a religious marriage and then have it validated by the civil one afterwards, that's okay. But if you're focused on religious marriage, keep it to the religious marriage, because last time I checked, the First Amendment to the United States Constitution allows those who do not wish to participate in the views of religion can live their life without it. And that's what I think you should be sticking to. And we should be looking at why does the government have so much power, as opposed to why should same-sex marriage be legal or not. I think it's a bullshit argument. But what they're going to do there is they will play the progressive role, because I do think in this case, yes, they should have the same privilege as same-sex couples to have marriage. I do believe that, and I think that is a widely accepted view at this moment. Therefore, they're going to take that, and they're going to call that the icing on the cake for what happened in the past 2 days with the healthcare law. This is a socialist system that is going to bleed you dry. It is meant to tax you more. That is all it's meant to do. It's meant to keep that American dock for the New World Order flowing. And then you have the Pacific Rim trade, which is going to absolutely sell out your rights 100% if your government wants to pass a law that protects people over corporations, and the corporation believes that that goes into their projected profit and that cuts it on them, then they're going to come to us for the damages. They're also going to sue the governments to change the laws, effectively taking away the autonomy of any autonomy that any of the states in the world have left. But let's move on. What are we at here? We got about 4 minutes to go. After the court decision was announced, Obama took a Rose Garden victory lap. Progress on this journey often comes in small increments, sometimes 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, he said. And then sometimes there are days like this when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt. Nice Jupiter reference, asshole. Some Obama confidants described a more liberated, even feistier president, willing to mix it up with a heckler inside the White House, as he did on Wednesday. Sorry, my reading is off today. Or willing to use a racial epithet. long abandoned by civil society to describe black people in urging more racial unity. Wow, that took me 3 tries the last take. These words are so set up to make him make this as warm an article as possible. Why the change in style? He has more experience now. The president said in a podcast interview last week with comedian Marc Maron. Maybe it's Maron. It could be French. I don't know. Looks French. Part of that fearlessness is because you screwed up enough times that it's all happened. I've been through this. I've screwed up. I've been in the barrel tumbling down Niagara Falls, and I emerged and I lived. That's such a liberating feeling, he said. A little freer. Well, I would keep on reading on. I tell you what, I'm going to leave you the links to this because I can't read much more of this shit. This was not simply Obama as healer-in-chief, but a call to action from the president to end racial insensitivities. For too long, we were blind to the pain that the Confederate flag stirred in too many of our citizens, he said in a message aimed squarely at white Americans. Listen, I mean, this is Reuters. I mean, we could go on forever on this. It is meant to tie together all of this week's events, just to package it and tell you that, oh, everything's all good. We're going to make it through. He angered many of his Democratic allies, too, by forging ahead. Forging ahead. Have you ever said forging ahead in your life? Have you ever said that when you were talking about moving ahead with something? Forging ahead on the free trade pact. It's so beautiful. The people who have written this article are poets, I'm telling you. This is a absolute travesty. Reporting by Richard Cowan, Roberta Rampton, and Steve Holland. Editing by Kevin Drabo, maybe. Howard Gawler, maybe, and Stuart Grudgings. I'll leave the link below. This is really something. You'll also notice on the screenshot that I might like the NDP, the Socialist Democratic Party of Canada. They're trying to push that right onto me here, too. Isn't that beautiful how this is all just set up for you? And one last thing I want to show you. This will be my next video. Greece to introduce capital controls, keep banks shut as crisis deepens. This is a big deal, and they're trying to pin it all on Greece. And it's very telling of what's going to happen to us, I think. I strongly believe. So stay tuned, and I'll have that video coming. Please subscribe and share this video, because this is propaganda at its finest. I'll also have the links below to the Korean Central News Agency and the best of, the Hall of Fame, and more coming soon.